Guys. Welcome back to Politics ASMR, Politics ASMR, Politics ASMR, Politics ASMR. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. But my laptop broke, and I needed to get a replacement, mic. Today we will be going over Chapter 6 from Samuel Huntington, Clash of Civilizations. That is what we will be doing today. Chapter 6. The title of this chapter is The Cultural Reconfiguration of Global Politics. The cultural reconfiguration of global politics. So, we start chapter 6. Huntington begins by telling us that the world is no longer the Cold War question of whose side are you on, but instead a much more haunting and fundamental question, which is who are you? Every nation, every people must have an answer. Every people, every nation must have an answer. That answer that aligns with their cultural identity now defines their place in the world, their allies and their enemies. Alignments defined by ideology are dissolving. In their place, political boundaries are being redrawn to coincide with cultural ones, ethnic, religious and civilizational. Huntington describes a global identity crisis. In the 1990s, countries as diverse as Algeria, Russia, Turkey and even the United States began to struggle with their sense of self. People are rallying to those with similar ancestry and blood, while distancing themselves from those who are different. In Europe, nations that were forced into neutrality during the Cold War, such as Austria and Finland, are finally joining their cultural kin in the European Union. Meanwhile, the West makes it clear that it has no room for a Muslim state like Turkey. In the Balkans, the old superpower blocs are being replaced by axes of faith. A Greek, Serbian, Bulgarian Orthodox alliance formed to resist what they perceive as the encroachment of Islam. Huntington then pauses to ask, why does cultural similarity lead to cooperation and cultural difference lead to conflict? He offers five reasons, whispering them like ancient truths. Number 1 is multiple identities. We all have multiple identities, which Huntington refers to as occupational, local, and national. But in the modern world, the civilizational identity is becoming the most important. As Edmund Burke said, we love the, quote, little platoon we belong to in society. These platoons are our tribes. The armies are our civilization. Number two is modernization. As we saw in previous chapters. Modernization creates a vacuum of meaning. It makes people reach for the most stable identity they have, which is their culture. Number three is the other. Identity can only be defined in relation to someone else. There is no us without a them. Historically, we have always treated those like us different from the barbarians, for example. The barbarians as an example, not referring to everyone else, them, as barbarians. Number 4, the sources of conflict. Civilizational conflicts are often fought over the same things groups have always fought for: territory, wealth, and power. But they also involve zero-sum cultural issues. You can negotiate over money, however you cannot negotiate over whether a holy site should be a mosque or a temple. Number five is the themselves. People need enemies to define themselves. The end of the Cold War didn't end conflict. It just gave us new culturally rooted enemies. Huntington then goes on to categorize how states relate to their civilizations, and provides various terms to help understand this. So the first one is a member state, or member states, because it's plural, obviously. And they are countries that are fully identified with one culture, like Italy in the West or Egypt in the Arab Islamic world. The second one is core states, the most powerful central states of a civilization. Japan is its own core. The Sunni Orthodox and Hindu civilizations have one dominant core each, so this would be China. India, and Russia. China, India, Russia. The West has two, the United States and the Franco-German heart of Europe. And then the third one is lone countries. These are the culturally lonely. Ethiopia is isolated by its language and religion. Haiti is isolated by its history and Creole culture. Japan is the most important lone country. It shares its distinct culture with no one else. Then the fourth one Huntington identifies is Cleft Countries, and these are the most dangerous according to him. They are states where large groups of people belong to different civilizations. Think of Sudan. This is before South Sudan was created, obviously in 2011. But he talks about Sudan split between the Muslim North and the Christian South. Think of Ukraine split between the Orthodox East and the Uniate West. In these countries, the forces of repulsion are often stronger than the forces of unity. Finally, he looks at the torn countries. These are nations that have a single predominant culture, but their leaders want to shift them into a different civilization. Huntington says for this to work, three things must happen. Number one, the elite must be enthusiastic. Number two, the public must be willing. Number three, the host civilization must be willing to open its arms. He then examines four specific cases, each with their own drama. The first one he looks at is Russia, which has been a torn country for centuries. Ever since Peter the Great, Russia has been divided according to Huntington. Peter shaved the beards of his nobles and tried to make them European, but he only succeeded in creating a hybrid. He reinforced Asiatic despotism to force Western modernization. Communism was the ultimate irony, a Western ideology used to make Russia more advanced than the West. Now Russia is torn again between the Atlanticists, who want to join the G7, and the Eurasianists, who see Russia as its own unique world. The second one Huntington looks at is Turkey, the classic torn country. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk tried to destroy Turkey's Ottoman past. He replaced the Arabic script with the Roman, banned the fez, and abolished the caliphate. He wanted Turkey to become Western, but the West has rejected Turkey, calling the EU a Christian hub. Now Turkey is turning back. Having been rejected by Brussels, it is looking towards Turkic republics of Central Asia. It is a bridge. The bridge is an artificial creation part of as Mexico democratizes, will the people demand to go back to their Latin American roots? Latin American roots, Latin American roots, Latin American roots. The fourth country Huntington looks at is Australia, which he defines as the torn country in reverse. Australia is Western but tried to defect to Asia for economic reasons. Prime Minister Paul Keating wanted Australia to become the odd man in of Asia, but he was met with bemused tolerance by Asian leaders like Mahathir, who told him, "It is not the colour of your skin but your culture. You cannot simply decide to be Asian when you still believe in Western concepts of human rights and outspokenness." Huntington then ends with a conclusion about cultural schizophrenia. Political leaders who think they can fundamentally reshape the soul of their society are destined to fail. They can introduce the Western, quote-unquote, Western virus, but they cannot expunge the indigenous culture. The virus persists, the patient survives, but the patient is never whole again. They produce countries with divided loyalties and Janus faces. They create nations that look one way but feel the other. The lesson of chapter 6 is that you can make history, but you cannot escape it. The lines of the very world are drawn by something deeper than a pen. They are drawn by the very heart of who we think we are. And that is the end of chapter 6. That is the end of chapter 6 of Huntington's Clash of Civilization. I hope you enjoyed this chapter overview. If you want to watch any of the previous chapters, I've done chapters 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, and now that I have my new laptop, I should be doing a lot more chapters very quickly. So expect the next chapter, chapter 6, chapter 7, very soon, very soon, very soon.